do reviews for you. We're in the car. We're getting ready to go on a ghost tour. Ooh, spooky. But before we do that, Mountain Dew came out with something new, and we found it at the store, at a Dollar General store. Mountain Dew. Yeah, no, Maui
Burst.
I don't know if it's backwards or not, but I'll fix it later. Maui Burst. It's a Mountain Dew with a blast of pineapple flavor.
Now, my guess is that your experiences in the fire department were extremely traumatic. You experienced the imminent possibility of death.
And I've traveled an awful lot in that helicopter with you all across the country. And to see the devastation that occurs, the kind of wildfires.
It is such a high for her to do.
E.T. has learned that Oprah went to a local shelter to ask firsthand what was most needed. We're told she will do more as it becomes clear which funds can be the most helpful for the short-term and long-term rebuilding.
Imagine being a parent wondering where their child is and where he is. I remember, as I said, press reports of grandfathers crying for lost neighbors while trying to be strong for the ones who survived. Of a woman distributing clothing to survivors who says she didn't lose her home, but she lost her hometown.
Operation Blue Roof and the FEMA Self-Help Program, while similar, use two different materials to provide temporary protection for the roofs of residential structures damaged during severe weather. The sheeting for Operation Blue Roof are installed by a contractor, overseen by the Corps of Engineers according to certain specifications.
To people who were lost. We want this to be something that we remember after the pain passes as a magic place.
Back on it now and to say, well, you should have done this and why didn't you do that, is with the benefit of not only hindsight, but the benefit of seeing everything that we now know.
The Air Force Research Laboratory has developed a low-cost per shot, speed-of-light solution. THOR uses a focused beam of energy to defeat drones at a large target area. It provides a non-kinetic defeat of multiple targets at the speed of light.
I can tell you, and I agree with the chief, I'm happy to answer all these questions when the right time comes, which is when the after-action and investigation comes about, what we knew when we knew it.
When we find these, our family and our friends, the remains we're finding is through a fire that melted metal. We have to do rapid DNA to identify them. Every one of these 89 are John and Jane Does. We know we've got to go quick, but we got to do it right. So when we pick up the remains and they fall apart, and so when you have 200 people running through the scene yesterday, and some of you, that's what you're stepping on. I don't know how much more you want me to describe it. That's what you're stepping on. Give us a little bit of time to contain that. Please. Because we've got to go make 89 notifications. And coming from a place that had to make 58, I understand the pain this is going to take. And we're not done with 89. So just understand what this thing is, because none of us really know the size of it yet. Everybody wants a number. You want it fast or you want it right? We're gonna do it right.
And unfortunately and horrifically, our people who have lived there since time immemorial, are suffering because of the consequences that have been imposed really from outside foreign forces.
A lot of things that are blue, for some reason, stood the test of the fire. That this blue car in these homes had blue in it. I mean, it gets weird. Here, blue survived it. The cloth, the boat that survived in the ocean, and these are all just the mainstream articles showing this. The boat was blue. The car that survived, right, it's still blue. And I mean, this is what they showed in the mainstream news.
Okay, guys, this is the last episode I'm going to do for a while, but it should be a pretty good one. It's things that did not burn during the fire. I went through hours of footage, and it was pretty interesting what I found. Here are the famous umbrellas. These are actually Tommy Bahama umbrellas. Then the sole surviving car on Front Street in front of the outlet mall. And I actually found another sole survivor car the other direction that's a little bit further south on Front Street. You can see it on the left in this frame here.
Nobody called us. Our phones didn't work from 5 in the morning. The fire was not 10 o'clock when I went to work. The fire was still there. There was no water. Tell me if that's coincidence. No water, no warning. And everybody talking about the satellite city before the fire. Lahaina gonna be the first satellite city. Well, hey, Jeff Bezos, you got what you wanted. Oprah, you got what you wanted. And the guy who owns the nut, you got what you wanted. Us all over. That's what happened. Okay. We need help in Lahaina. Who's gonna come now and ask us, can I pray for you, Auntie?
Thank you.
Can I help you with your paperwork? Because all we got so far was $700 and we don't know who to call or anything. It's culturally insensitive in that zone.
Two of the biggest celebrities on the planet, Oprah and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, are teaming up to help Maui.
Disaster.
Because I know the fire burned right above your place. Did it get close to you?
It got to the Civic Center, right where the tennis courts are at, all around through there. That's where they stopped it.
Wow. Wow.
You better be ready because you're running out of time. Say jump! 21 jump! Street!
The governor of Hawaii, who just happened to be off the island at the time of this, well, just 1 month ago, he signed an executive order saying that the land can be taken away from the people if they need to rezone due to an emergency. So in January of this year, the Department of Hawaiian Homelands proposed a $75 million housing project on 51 acres in Lahaina. This was the area that was destroyed. This fits perfectly with the whole narrative from the World Economic Forum's plan for 15-minute cities, because it's wiping clear all this land that they've been trying to get for decades. Now they could put up these 15-minute cities. That those historic buildings have burnt to the ground. So now, just like what the governor put through in this executive order, they can be rezoned and won't be considered historical anymore. So now they can build on it.
Have a listen to what the police chief said when I asked him about road closures and whether we would get more information about how fire and the police department were communicating on that day.
We want to get people out. And so let me answer it like this. There is going to be a very detailed long after action. It might be the longest after action that's ever been. Every data point is going to be scrubbed and looked at and meticulously gone through.
Saul Alinsky, and there are still many to whom the name is meaningless. But to millions now, he is looked on as a savior. And these are the so-called have-nots, the culturally deprived, the abject poor. They love him, and they ask him in to organize their weakness into a strength and power that has become a frightening threat to the establishment.
I suppose, given a choice, I think I would pick hell. The reason I'd pick hell is because that's where all the have-nots are.
And so we appreciate any support that you can give all the people who were calling me and texting me and messaging me and saying, what do I do? What do I do?
And make our nation more resilient in future heat waves. There will be more.
In an exclusive interview with the U.S. Fire Administration, the head of the agency tells HNN she believes once the West Maui fire started, under the conditions that day, there was no way of stopping it.
The wind speeds coming from the nearby hurricane caused the air and the fire to move very fast.
You better be ready 'cause you're running out of time. Say jump, 21 jump street.
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is launching a new partnership with universities and impact communities to improve the nation's weather forecast and its accuracy, so Americans everywhere can be better prepared and they can better predict what the heat is going to be in that community with the weather.
The following morning, I was able to go by boat and walk right into the major area that had been destroyed. And what I saw was, in fact, many dozens and dozens of telephone poles underground, lines that were still, burning and seemed to be alive, and you could still see the sparkings and so forth right on the street.
I can't tell you again what everybody knew. I knew our power lines were out, our phone systems were out.
So that does leave me with one last potentiality, which is entire families are gone. Entire groups of people who could not escape, and no one left to say, where is my cousin, where is my uncle, where is my child? I do think, and I am concerned, it's going to be a story that gets worse before it ever looks better. It's tragic.
Do you think, given how fast moving this was, that this could have been stopped with enough firefighters?
Not with the number of firefighters that you had available on this island, and were outpaced from the very beginning.
So you believe even if they had all the firefighters on the island in front of Lahaina, it still would have got through?
They did have everything that was in the stations on that day on the island that was dispatched to this fire, and they were outpaced.
Ooh. Is there any ceremony or anything? No, you just jump in. Come on.
Since his retirement from politics, Barack Obama has displayed an astonishing lack of regard for the public good. Instead of serving his fellow human beings, he has mainly devoted himself to a rigorous program of conspicuous self-celebration.
But I also want all of you to know the country grieves with you, stands with you, and will do everything possible to help you recover, rebuild, and respect culture and traditions when the rebuilding takes place. My administration has been in constant contact with the governor and congressional delegation and local leaders. As soon as I got the governor's request, I signed the major disaster declaration.
Oh, sure, Mr. Masters.
Like working for Mr. Magoo. Those hair plugs.
I know.
This is what you do. Now.
That's outrageous. That is outrageous. Anybody who says that, does that.
I saw the moon when we were out there on the ocean, shining down on everything. I'd been miserable so long, years of my life wasted, freed. Been a long time coming here to meet you. A long time on a crooked road.
And Jill and I have what's left, walked Front Street, what's left of it. We've surveyed the damage from the air as well. The devastation is overwhelming. To date, 114 dead.